Hola, carteleros vampíricos. Estamos aquí con Ian Somerhalder. Le conoceréis porque es el protagonista de The Vampire Diaries. Os sonará seguro también de Perdidos, aunque de esto hace un ratito largo. Ahora presenta The Wars, que es la nueva serie de Netflix, que se estrena el 5 de diciembre. Y hasta entonces, pues vamos a hablar un poquito con Ian para que nos cuente qué vamos a poder ver, si esta serie de vampiros tiene algo que ver con The Vampire Diaries o no tiene nada que ver. I bet, Ian, this series has nothing to do... Hi, how are you?
Nothing to do with what?
With The Vampire Diaries. I mean, the vampires in this series are nothing alike, right?
They are nothing alike. It's not sci-fi fantasy. It's very grounded. And it's more science-based and medical-based than sort of supernatural-based. It's been over a year of my life, every day grinding to make this. I'm very passionate about making every frame of this show work, but it is definitely very different. And I encourage you and ask you to come along on the journey with me.
To get an idea of what are we going to watch, in The Wars, in this series, vampirism is like a disease, and the source of the disease is connected in a way with climate change. How does this work?
So it's a great question. So the guy who wrote it, Jonathan Mayberry, is a genius. V-Wars is 5 books. It's a huge piece of IP. But Mayberry was so smart. He didn't just write it all. There are aspects of, say, what it's like on a border town or what it's like to live as... Michael Fain initially is a barista in New York City, but he didn't know these areas of life. So he got writers together, put all of them together in these books and edited it. And it's brilliant because it's told from these perspectives of people who actually know these specific vignettes. That's why I'm excited. How this all ties in, now you got to remember, Vampire Diaries was written in 1992, very much like a sort of young woman in the valley in Los Angeles. V-Wars was written in 2012. So the things that Jonathan Mayberry knew were relevant then are really going to be relevant now. All of these articles are now, and now it's crazy, just as our show's coming out, all of these articles are now coming out because of climate change. The permafrost is melting, glacial deterioration is happening at rampant speed, and as this ice melts, a lot of biomass and things that are underneath that ice are now becoming exposed. Bacteria, viruses, things that we haven't had to deal with since we were living in caves, or even before that. And we're starting to see it in livestock. We're starting to see it. So infectious disease scientists are very concerned. So this isn't something that is just in a book. This is actually something that's happening in the scientific world right now. And it is very concerning. So in our story, a prion is found by one of my mentors and colleagues in the science community at an Arctic research station. But this particular prion attacks the junk DNA in the human body and causes rapid change, basically turning you into a murderous beast, aka, don't tell anyone, a vampire. But these vampires are not like the ones in Vampire Diaries where they're really pretty and they're making jokes and shit. These guys are, this is scary looking stuff. And, we created these creatures with our incredible effects teams and they scare the shit out of me. But, I've been up, for the first 5 months of re-editing this show, I was up till 3, 4, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, going through this stuff. But then we started building the creatures out. And James and I have become obsessed with getting this to a place that, listen, perfection is the enemy of good. But these creatures, we feel like we've gotten them to such a place that when you watch them, you go, oh my gosh. If these people were coming after you, it would be very scary. It would be very scary.
So in this...
I would say it would be less than ideal.
Less than ideal, but we have you in our side this time because you're the good guy, right? You're like the
good guy for now. I mean, listen, I will say this. I wanted to play a character, especially after 8 years of Vampire Diaries. Damon was fun. He was sexy. He was snarky. but he was also incredibly selfish. I mean, Damon was an asshole. He really was an asshole. But people loved him because he was vulnerable, and he really enjoyed what he did. And I learned my lesson on Lost. Boone was not fun, and he had to balance Shannon out, and I never really got to explore that levity of Boone. And he ended up dead on Boone's Hill or Boone's Farm. No, that's a wine company. So I just wanted to play a character whose superpower was just being a good dad, was being a good scientist, being a good husband. He's just a normal, good guy. But what we found out was people don't want an ordinary hero. They want an extraordinary hero. And I think and we rewrote the end of the show to express that. But as you peel back the layers of the onion of Luther Swan, you're going to start to uncover, like we all have, some darkness in his past, and things are going to unravel and push him to try and keep it together. The world is rapidly falling apart in this show. I mean, it goes very quickly.
So he's good but complicated. Are you eager to do this again with the second season? Because these are 10 episodes and it's based on the first book, or how?
We're only pulling from the first book. And listen, season 1 of shows are hard. Either way, you've got to create the rules, create the world. And I love season 1. Season 1 is a good show. And I sound sort of cheeky, and Netflix will probably slap me in the hand for saying this, but I'm not kidding. I'm encouraging people to go on this journey with me. If you have appreciated the work I've done before, or you were a fan of the Vampire Diaries, just as my fan, I consider you my friend. Watch the show. Tell your friends to watch the show. And even if you don't like the show, just let it keep going so Netflix knows people are watching it. Because I want to get that season 2, and in going into the world of season 2, we can really blow the lid off of this and tell some really deep, relevant, cool, dark, sexy, dangerous stuff, but visually stunning, and using now a lot of new technology that we have. And we're a nimble show, right? This is a global show. This is going to happen to the whole world. So in Vampire Diaries, we had $25 million worth of standing sets. So there was no reason for us to leave. Paul and I wanted to shoot a couple of episodes in Paris or utilize tax benefits in other countries. But you can't justify that financially when you have 350,000 square feet of standing sets. V-Wars doesn't have that. We're nimble. I mean, we can shoot a few episodes here and a few episodes there and end up in the jungles of Colombia or in the shanty towns of South Africa. We can move around, and that is what's fun. I want to get to that season 2. It sounds so arrogant. I'm not trying to sound that way, because I want to showcase the world. I want to give the world a chance to be a part of this show, and showcase some really cool cultural aspects, because the show deals with a lot of the cultural things we're dealing with right now: borders, racism, disease, fear, politics, and the politics of fear. But it's not about politics. I don't give a shit about politics. No, I don't even want to talk about politics. But there's something really cool about being able to show relevant things in the world without bludgeoning people over the head with what your viewpoint is. It doesn't matter what Ian Somerhalder's point of view is. It matters what's happening in the world and what's happening to these characters. And that is what's exciting. So watch the damn show so I can get a season 2 and we can do some fun stuff.
Yeah, what can be fun also about it, season 2 is, to build something knowing how the audience has reacted to the first season, because in the Vampire Diaries that factor became really important with some of the character arcs, the opinion of the audience. Are you fearing this, or are you eager to know and build with that opinion in?
I'm super eager to know. After you've been on television for 8 years on one show. I've studied social media for the last decade, and fortunately, and I say this in all humility, become an influencer in that space, and I'm grateful for that. I've learned that a lot of people say a lot of mean shit on social media, and it's just because they're hiding behind a screen or they're unhappy, and that's totally fine. You can't really hurt my feelings. If you don't like the show, I totally respect that. But I do love your opinion. And even if it's brutal down to like goes for the jugular, I love it. It's more ammunition for me. I love dialing in and listening to what people are saying. And that's the beauty of technology now. We can understand what people are talking about and see it in real time and communicate with them. That's powerful. I love that aspect of it, you know?
Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you so much.
I wish you a lot of luck with this series.